Y'all, it has been a couple of weeks. We've had a lot going on that I haven't had much of a chance to share with you. So I'm going to do that in this video. So stay tuned and brace yourself for some bad news, followed by some good news. Welcome, I'm Autumn Beckman and I'm here to help you live your most luxurious life within your budget. I post new videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so please make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss any of those, and so you don't miss my daily community post where I share the best sales of the day and fabulous handbags that I find. Also, don't miss my website, autumnbeckman.com. I will have it linked below, and that is where you can find handbags and accessories and some other things I have for sale, as well as the My Handbag Collection organizer, which I designed to help you organize and curate a collection of your most treasured items. This is the front and back of the item tracker, which is the heart of the planner, and that's where you can record everything you'd want to know about your handbags and small goods. So a lot has happened in the last few weeks. Many of you know that Paul and I have been sick. So about 3 weeks ago, Paul started showing symptoms of whatever it was we had that he had picked up from somewhere. About 3 days after that, I inevitably started showing the same symptoms. And it was typical head cold symptoms. I know things have been going around, new strains of COVID have been going around. I don't know if that's what we had. I never took a COVID test because he took 2 of them. They both came out negative, but that doesn't mean that those tests were accurate or that they tested for the strain that we might have had. So who knows what we were going through. We are now feeling back to normal, except that we both still have a persistent cough, which of course gets worse when you talk. And I was just filming for about an hour and a half on the video that you hopefully saw on Tuesday, which should have been today's video because I usually do Coach on Thursdays. But since that was a brand new collection, it was about the Fall 24 Runway collection. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Since it's a new collection, I wanted to go ahead and get that up so people would have the information. So if I sound a little weird like I just did, that's because I'm trying to suppress a cough. And I will be editing all of the coughing out of the video. So we were sick for 2 weeks total, like feeling really bad, besides just the cough. And I was raised in a culture of, you don't need a doctor, just tough it out. So a week goes by, we're both suffering. Paul goes to his doctor. I did a telehealth visit, and we were both prescribed the same medicine, some kind of little pearl thing. And then I also was prescribed a cough syrup. I don't think either of those did anything for us, but whatever. And I was also taking a battery of over-the-counter stuff. I had like the store brand of the Dayquil pills. I was taking Mucinex DM Maximum Strength. I was taking zinc in addition to the vitamins that I take every day. And for the first almost 2 weeks, I could tell a difference with the cold medicine after about an hour. But at this point, there seems to be nothing that's helping with the cough. So I think Paul's going to go back to his doctor. We'll see what they say, and I'll use that as a guide to decide whether I should go back to mine. Because the doctor that I saw told me if you're not better in a week, and I'm not regarding the cough, to go back. But I said, well, what are you going to do differently next time? And they said, probably nothing. So what's the point? So that's what happened. And if you didn't know that we were sick, and maybe you noticed that I missed a lot of videos recently, I missed 4, that's why. Because I didn't feel well enough to film, didn't have the energy and the stamina to stand for that long, but also just all the coughing, because it has improved some, but it's still so annoying. I'm so ready to be done with it. And to those of you who did know and have sent well wishes, thank you. We both really appreciate that. I did read all of them, but I was, as usual, terrible about responding, so I apologize. Now, the worst news, about a week and a half ago, by the time this video goes up, Paul got a call from his sister-in-law in Texas that his brother, and some of you may remember, his brother had a massive stroke about a year and a half ago, right before Christmas. And his brother has been in a care facility ever since then. So Paul got a call from his sister-in-law that his brother was put into hospice. He'd had a couple of other strokes since then too, by the way, and some other issues. So he was put in hospice, and usually that means a person doesn't have much longer, right? So Paul went to Texas. I'm the one that does all of our travel plans, so I hopped on the computer, found him a flight, got it booked that night, and I drove him to the airport the next morning. He got to Texas. He was able to be there for 1 full day and then that first night. And then he came back on the third day. So when he was there, his brother probably didn't know he was there, couldn't recognize him. He was out of it like people in hospice tend to be. But Paul was still happy that he got to go and see his brother and say his goodbyes. And then the day after Paul got back here, he got a message that his brother had passed. So sad news, but also we're people who look at these kinds of situations in a very practical way, like all of us involved that I just mentioned. And we all feel like that was the best thing. Like, he's not suffering anymore, because he was suffering. He was on a lot of morphine in hospice because all they could do was try to make him comfortable. So once he went downhill to the point that he got to hospice, it was pretty quick that it all happened. And we see that as a good thing. Paul's at peace with it. I think his sister-in-law is at peace with it. So that was the really bad thing that happened. Certainly worse than us being sick for a few days. We also, all of this is related to people being sick. We also took the dogs to their annual vaccinations, and it was the first time they've had this done in Oregon, because we did all that right before we left Texas last year when we moved up here. And a lot of you have been asking me about the dogs and about Vincent, my bird, because I haven't had them in videos in a while. Everybody's doing great. So we took, and thank you for asking, so we took the dogs to get their vaccinations, and it was this, we didn't go to a vet, like a proper vet visit where you go in and have an exam and everything. We did a little vaccination clinic at Petco, and because they're small and they're under a certain weight, they divvied their shots up into 2 separate sessions that were about 2 or 3 weeks apart, which I've never had happen. I've had dogs all my life and nobody's ever done that before, so I thought that was interesting. But they were saying because they weren't at a doctor's office, they're in a Petco store, which was not a Petco that has a vet, it's just like just the store. They had a table set up inside the store. They were saying if the dogs had negative reactions, which they've never had before to the vaccinations, that they wouldn't be able to treat them there. So that's why they split it up, so it'd be a little easier on the dogs. So the first time went great. The second time, in addition to the vaccinations in their thigh, they also got a shot of Benadryl in their shoulder. And I don't think they've ever had that before, and both of them had bad reactions. They didn't get sick from it, but their shoulders swelled up around the vaccination spot, and they were really tender. Roxy was so tender that she wasn't even using that leg. She'd hold it up and limp around. And if you picked them up and you touched that arm, they would yelp. And that lasted, we got the shots done in mid-afternoon. That lasted all night and into the morning, and then it finally went away the next morning. And of course, I've worked in vet clinics before, if you guys didn't know that. I was a vet tech for a while I was going through college. Not sure I've ever told you guys that. So I was keeping an eye on them, and I know when it gets to the point to take them to the vet, and it wasn't that bad. So it was just, you know, swelling and tenderness, like happens with a lot of us when we get vaccinations. It certainly happens to me. I'm always complaining about, well, my arm hurts. But anyway, they ended up being fine. They're good now. Vincent's good. Everybody's good. Now the good news is that for months now, if you've been watching my channel fairly consistently, you may remember that a few times I have mentioned that there's this big thing coming up that I don't want to tell you about until it's happened. It was supposed to happen a long time ago, and it keeps getting pushed and pushed, and we didn't know when it was going to happen, and we were waiting on other people to do things before we could do our part in it. Well, it's finally here. We're finally at the point where we have started working on our part of it, and it's going to take a few weeks, at least a month. So once it happens, I will finally be able to tell you about it. And it's something that we are very excited about, but it does involve a ton of work over the next few weeks. So for a while, that's going to be the only thing that we're able to focus on. So over the next few days, I'm going to be filming, like pre-filming my videos for the next several weeks, so that I don't have to film anymore for a few weeks until things start to get a little bit back to normal. And also it means that in the thick of this, I'm probably not going to be able to do shipments. So if you do order anything from my website, I'll say this Saturday is probably the last day I'll be able to ship. So get your orders in today or tomorrow if you want it shipped immediately. After that, I'll have a message on my website where you can still order things, but you're gonna have to wait for it to be shipped. You'll have to wait a couple of weeks, probably mid to late September. So just keep that in mind if there's anything you've been thinking about. Other than that, after being homesick for a few weeks, and the only place I went was, at the very beginning, I did the grocery runs while Paul was at his worst. And then when I got to my sickest, he did some grocery runs. So just this past weekend, I went to the mall for the first time. You know what? Something I've realized since I've been in Oregon, when I was in Houston, I went shopping pretty often. I had the Galleria with all the big luxury stores about a mile away and some other stores really close. And I went fairly often. And here, I've been to the mall here like 2 times before this weekend in the year that we've been here. I haven't been to any of the luxury stores, not once. So it's interesting that I've taken on a new lifestyle. Now, not that I haven't done plenty of online shopping, but I just haven't done so much in person. I think part of it's because the stores aren't as close and convenient as they were in Houston. But anyway, this past weekend I felt well enough, and Coach had this drop of their fall 24 runway collection I wanted to go see in person. So I went to the mall to go to Coach, but I also went to, they have a Pottery Barn, so I went in there. I went to the Williams-Sonoma, and then I went to a Hobby Lobby to look for pumpkin decorations. That's another thing, is when we moved, I got rid of a lot of my fall and Christmas decor because I knew that we didn't have room for it in this smaller apartment. And now I'm really regretting it because I had a nice little collection of some pumpkins that I loved, and I had some nice Christmas stuff, and I still have a few pieces, but I think that I got rid of all of my pumpkins, and I'm a little heartbroken about that. So I went to Hobby Lobby, didn't see any pumpkins I really loved, and then I went to a different city. Around here, that's something too. Houston is this one big thing. It encompasses a couple of smaller cities, but here it's like a bunch of, it's like a cluster of a bunch of different cities. So I went to 3 different cities this weekend. So I go to this Home Goods in the 3rd city, and I found this gorgeous pumpkin that I'll show you another time because I still have it all wrapped up right now. But anyway, I finally got out and I did some shopping, and it was so nice. It felt kind of therapeutic because it reminded me that that's something that I used to do that I really enjoyed. Even if I wasn't buying things, I like just walking around and looking at stuff. So that was fun. Anybody else just like window shopping? So that is what we've been up to, and a peek at what's coming. And yeah, just thought I'd share that with you. If you feel like it, leave a comment, let me know what's been going on in your life. I love hearing your stories. I did a community post a couple weeks ago letting you guys know that I was sick and I was going to be missing some videos, and I asked y'all to tell me what was going on with you, and nobody did. And I was actually disappointed by that. So if you'd like to leave me some stories, let me know what's going on with you. All right, I'm gonna sign off. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Hope to see you back here next time. I'm trying to suppress a cough. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.